Hey there, everyone. There's something really special about these crisp December mornings, especially when you're sharing them with good friends.
Absolutely, Alex. And speaking of friends, it's so good to be here with all our listeners for what's actually a pretty special episode of Blue Mountain Morning.
That's right, Mark. This is our last time together before we take a little Christmas break, and I'm feeling really grateful that we get to help folks start their day with a bit of peace and perspective.
hmm And today we've got this really nice mix of stories and insights that'll help everyone find their center before diving into their day.
You know what I love about doing this show? It's like we're all just sitting down together, having that first morning coffee, making sense of everything that's happening in our world.
And doing it in a way that doesn't overwhelm, but actually helps bring some clarity to it all.
All right, let's dive into what's happening today, December 20th. And wow, there's been some pretty significant developments in Washington that I think we need to talk about.
Yeah, and this one's particularly important because it affects, well, basically everyone. The House Republicans just tried to pass this spending bill to avoid a government shutdown, but it didn't go as planned.
It really didn't. The bill actually failed in the House, which is pretty significant since Republicans have the majority there. What's going on with that, Mark?
So here's the thing. Even with Trump throwing his support behind this new spending deal, they just couldn't get enough votes. It's like we're seeing this real divide within the party playing out in real time.
And speaking of significant developments, there's this really interesting report about deportations under the Biden administration that just came out.
Oh yeah, and this might surprise some folks. Deportations have actually hit a decade high, even higher than during the Trump years. It's quite a shift from what many people might have expected.
And there's one more big story we should touch on. TikTok is making some major moves with the Supreme Court.
Right. They're basically asking for an emergency order to block a potential U.S. ban unless the company gets sold. This is huge for the millions of Americans who use the app. But it's also this bigger question about technology and national security.
And it's not just about dancing videos anymore, is it? We're talking about a platform that's become this huge part of American culture and business.
Exactly. For a lot of small business owners and content creators, this is their livelihood we're talking about. And, the Supreme Court's decision here could really reshape how we think about social media platforms and international business relationships.
And now let's talk about something that's making waves across the country. Amazon workers are staging what's being called their largest ever strike against the company.
Yeah, this is pretty significant. The Teamsters Union is leading this nationwide effort, and it's really showing how the landscape of labor organizing is changing in America.
I noticed this isn't just your typical warehouse worker strike. What's different about this one?
So what makes this really interesting is that we're seeing this coordination between different types of workers, from delivery drivers to warehouse staff. And, it's happening right during the holiday season, which is, Amazon's busiest time.
The timing definitely seems strategic.
Oh, absolutely. And here's what's fascinating. This isn't just about wages anymore. The workers are pushing back against what they're calling aggressive surveillance and these really intense productivity quotas.
I've heard some pretty wild stories about those quotas. What kind of impact do you think this could have on other tech companies?
Well, that's the thing. This strike could actually set some pretty important precedents. Like, we're seeing traditional labor unions adapting their strategies for the digital age. And it's kind of remarkable how they're using social media to organize and gain public support.
And this is happening while Amazon's trying to automate more of their operations, right?
Exactly. And that's really the bigger picture here. This isn't just about Amazon. It's about how American workers are going to navigate this transition as more companies embrace automation and AI. It's like we're watching the future of work being negotiated in real time.
And the public response has been pretty interesting too.
Yeah, that's actually been one of the most surprising parts. We're seeing this shift in how Americans view labor movements. Like, there's definitely more public support than we might have seen even 5 years ago.
You know, Mark, with Christmas just around the corner, I've been thinking about something that's been weighing on my mind. All the waste we create during the holidays.
Oh yeah, it's actually pretty staggering when you think about it. I was just reading this fascinating piece about how Americans generate something like 25% more waste during the holiday season.
That's wild, but I guess between all the wrapping paper, packaging, and decorations, it really adds up.
Exactly. But here's the thing. There are some really simple ways we can make our celebrations more sustainable without losing any of that holiday magic. Like, One thing I've started doing is using fabric gift bags that can be reused year after year.
I love that idea. What about wrapping paper, though? I mean, that's such a big part of the tradition.
Yeah, so here's a cool tip I learned. You can actually do the scrunch test. If the paper scrunches and holds its shape, it's probably recyclable. But that shiny, glittery stuff, that usually has to go straight to the landfill.
Huh, I had no idea. And speaking of traditions, my family's actually started this new one where we've...
Oh, let me guess. Experience gifts instead of physical presents?
Not bad. But no, actually, we've been doing Secret Santa for the adults, which cuts down on the number of gifts while keeping the fun of gift giving. And we make a whole evening of it with hot cocoa and everything.
That's brilliant. And you know what else I've noticed? More people are starting to use LED lights for their decorations. They last way longer and use, way less energy than those old school bulbs we grew up with.
It's really amazing how these small changes can add up to make a big difference.
You know what I love about this time of year? Those quiet mornings when the world feels like it's wrapped in a blanket of stillness.
Especially when there's fresh snow on the ground and everything just seems to pause.
Yeah, it's like nature's hitting that pause button for us. You'll look out your window and see those bare branches, maybe dusted with snow, and just feel this incredible sense of peace.
It's funny how winter does that, right? Like everything slows down, gets quieter, even the busy streets seem different somehow.
And you know what I've noticed? People actually lean into that stillness during the holidays. They take those moments to just breathe, whether it's sitting by a window with their morning coffee or taking that early morning walk when the air is crisp and clean.
I actually did that yesterday morning. Just stood on my porch for a few minutes, watching my breath make little clouds in the air. It was, I don't know, kind of magical.
That's exactly the kind of moment we need to treasure. You know, before we all get caught up in the holiday rush, these quiet moments are like little gifts we give ourselves.
Like nature's reminder to just be present.
Exactly. And isn't that what this season is really about? Finding those moments of peace, of connection, even if it's just with yourself and the winter morning.
Well, folks, we've reached that time. This was our last episode before we take a little break for the holidays.
Yeah, and I just wanted to say how grateful we are for all of you who've joined us on these morning chats. It's been really special.
It really has. You know, sharing these quiet mornings with all of you has become one of my favorite parts of the day.
Same here. And hey, while we're away, don't forget to keep finding those little moments of peace we talked about.
Absolutely. And make sure to mark your calendars. We'll be back on January 6th with fresh perspectives and new stories to share.
Until then, from both of us here at Blue Mountain Morning, we wish you the warmest, most wonderful Christmas.
And hey, whether you're traveling, staying home, or somewhere in between, stay safe, stay cozy, and most importantly,
take care of yourselves and each other.
Merry Christmas, everyone. We'll see you in the new year.